On a 2023 expedition to the Mariana Trench, researchers filmed a fish swimming at 8,178 meters, deeper than any vertebrate had ever been seen. Its name was Pseudolaparus swire, the hadal snailfish, and by every rule of physics, it should not have been alive. This is still unexplained, the science that hasn't finished arguing. At that depth, the water presses down with a force of over 80 megapascals. That's roughly 800 times the pressure at the surface. It's often compared to an elephant standing on a postage stamp. A submarine built for these depths must be made of thick titanium. Yet this creature is made mostly of water and gel. So how does a creature of gel and water survive where steel must be forged into armor? The answer lies in three quiet revolutions: molecular, structural, and metabolic. Together they rewrite what we thought physics allowed. But to understand them, we first have to descend into the hadal zone. But why has no one stopped to explore it? Because the hadal zone, the deepest 5,000 meters of the ocean, is Earth's last frontier. It covers less than 2% of the seafloor, yet it holds pressures that would crush a submarine. And it remains almost entirely unseen. At Challenger Deep, the pressure exceeds 1,100 bar. Only about 20% of the ocean floor has been mapped with modern sonar. The rest is a blank. And yet, life thrives here. Over 200 species have been identified in the hadal zone, from translucent amphipods to the snailfish itself. They live in a world of near freezing darkness, where food falls like slow snow. This is the stage for the impossible. How do proteins survive crushing pressure? Inside every cell, proteins must fold into precise shapes to function. But under immense pressure, these shapes can warp and break. Deep-sea creatures produce piezolytes, small molecules that cling to proteins, holding them in shape like scaffolding against a storm. At 8,000 meters, the pressure is 800 times what we feel at the surface. Yet the hadal snailfish's proteins fold as easily as ours do. Piezolytes make the difference. But piezolytes alone aren't enough. The snailfish's proteins are also unusually flexible, able to bend without breaking. This flexibility, combined with the stabilizing molecules, means its enzymes keep working at depths where our own would fail instantly. So the first secret is molecular. Piezolytes and flexible proteins keep the machinery of life running. But that's only the beginning. The next adaptation is structural, and it's visible in the very body of the fish. So how does a body of gel and water survive where steel must be forged into armor? The second revolution is structural. These creatures have no air pockets at all, no swim bladder, no gas-filled spaces, nothing that pressure could collapse. Most fish rely on a swim bladder to control buoyancy. In the hadal zone, that organ would be a fatal weakness. So these fish have done away with it entirely. Their bodies are mostly water and gel, so pressure passes through them without crushing. This gel isn't just filler. It's a structural material that distributes pressure evenly, like a water-filled balloon that can't burst. At 8,000 meters, the pressure is equivalent to an elephant standing on your thumb, yet the snailfish moves through it as easily as we move through air. And it's not just fish. Amphipods like Hirondelia gigas thrive below 10,000 meters, their bodies equally devoid of air spaces. This is the second quiet revolution. In a world where pressure would crush anything hollow, these creatures are solid, and that solidity is their survival. How does a creature survive where food is a rumor? A single whale carcass can feed a community for decades. So the snailfish has learned to wait. Its metabolism slows to a crawl, up to 100 times slower than a surface fish's, burning almost nothing. But how does a creature survive on so little? The answer lies in its cells. Deep-sea metabolism doesn't just slow down, it rewires. Enzymes work at a fraction of the rate, and every calorie is hoarded. This is life on a budget so tight that a single meal might last months. This is the opposite of surface life, where energy is cheap and everything moves fast. In the abyss, survival is measured in patience. The snailfish doesn't chase, it waits. And in that waiting, it has found a way to thrive where nothing should. So what does this mean for biology itself? These adaptations aren't just clever tricks. They challenge the very rules we thought governed life. In the abyss, normal doesn't apply. Survival is rewritten from the ground up. But here's the twist. These creatures don't just survive, they thrive. Their existence forces us to ask, if life can rewrite its rules here, what else have we misunderstood about the limits of biology? The abyss isn't an exception, it's a revelation. And yet, for all we've learned, the deepest questions remain unanswered. We don't know if these creatures feel pain as we do, or if they experience time differently. They live in a world so alien that our language fails. Consider the amphipod Hirondelia gigas, thriving below 10,000 meters. Its body is transparent, and it emits a faint fluorescence, possibly a form of communication we can't yet decode. What is it saying? What sense is guided in a world without light? We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the deepest parts of our own ocean. And that's the real revelation. Not that these creatures survive, but that they force us to admit how little we know and how much more there is to discover. And that's the mystery we return to. These creatures shouldn't survive, yet they do. Their existence is a quiet defiance of everything we thought we knew about life. The deep sea isn't an exception to the rules. It's a reminder that the rules were never complete. So when we ask what normal means, perhaps the answer is this: normal is simply what survives. But there's a paradox hidden in this design. A gel-filled body survives pressure by having nothing to compress, yet the same pressure that would crush a submarine is what keeps these creatures intact. Remove the pressure, and they'd likely fall apart. Their survival depends on the very force that should kill them. So piezolytes are the first line of defense. But researchers have found something stranger. Some deep-sea proteins are so flexible they can unfold and refold without losing function. This is unheard of in surface life, where a misfolded protein is often toxic. In the abyss, flexibility is a survival trait. But slow metabolism isn't just about surviving hunger. It also means these creatures age slowly, reproduce rarely, and live for decades. A snailfish might live to be over 100 years old, growing at a snail's pace. Time itself moves differently in the abyss. A single heartbeat can last minutes. In pitch darkness, eyes are nearly useless. Some amphipods have evolved to detect pressure changes and chemical traces, but we don't understand how they perceive their world. Their reality is so alien that we lack the language to describe it. Even capturing these creatures on camera is a feat of engineering. The 2023 expedition used a deep-sea lander with specialized lights and cameras, designed to withstand pressures that would crush a standard camera. Each dive was a gamble. The footage we have is a triumph of human ingenuity. But these adaptations don't just rewrite biology, they rewrite our understanding of chemistry. The piezolytes that stabilize proteins are so effective that scientists are studying them for medical applications, from preserving vaccines to stabilizing drugs. The abyss isn't just a frontier, it's a laboratory. Yet for all we've learned, the hadal zone remains largely unexplored. The pressure, the darkness, and the sheer remoteness make it harder to study than space. Every dive reveals new species, new behaviors, new surprises. The abyss is a reminder that our planet still holds secrets we've barely begun to uncover. We've mapped less than a fifth of our ocean floor. The rest remains a world of waiting, where life rewrites its own rules. And as we descend further, we may find that the deepest mystery isn't what lives there, but what it teaches us about the limits of life itself. The abyss awaits, and so do its secrets. The universe keeps refusing clean answers. Subscribe, and meet the next one. The place on Earth where GPS quietly lies.